Our next speaker is Roger Pritchett, and he was kind enough to provide a nice bio that I'd like to share with all of you. Roger could be described as a political junkie of sorts. He likes to stay abreast of current events. He cares about our community and our country, and he says that he's very, very opinionated on the issues. Roger is a college graduate. He's dabbled in several languages in his lifetime, including Spanish, Greek, Hebrew, and the African tribal language of Khmer. Close. He's lived overseas for 8 years, which gives him a broader perspective on the topic of his speech today. In the past, he's tutored several folks who speak English as a second language. For the past 14 years, Roger has served as one of the ministers at the Pleasant Valley Church of Christ. He's married, soon to be 34 years, which is an accomplishment. Has grown 3 children, a grandchild, and another one's on the way. Roger has prepared a speech for us tonight from the Competent Communicator Manual, Project Number 9, Persuade with Power. His speech is titled, The Latest Sticky Issue. Please join me in welcoming Roger.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. There are plenty of sticky issues that our national government has to deal with these days. Debt, spending, debt limit, sequestration of funds. We could go on and on. But the latest sticky issue is immigration. Just recently, a bipartisan group of 8 senators launched the first salvo in the battle, and the president and his administration have quickly jumped into the fray. Our country is a nation of immigrants. About the only true natives have mostly been relegated to a few reserved spots of land, reservations, and that in itself is a travesty. But that's for another speech. This very Toastmasters Club has had many immigrants over many years. Feelings on this issue can run very high. Well, an immigrant is simply a person who migrates to another land of which he is not native, often for permanent residence. Now, for many years, Ellis Island, home of the Statue of Liberty, was the symbol of immigration for this country. Thousands of people passed through there as they journeyed to their new home. You've probably heard the poetry of Emma Lazarus that welcomed them. Part of her poem titled The New Colossus read, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed to me. I lift my golden lamp. I lift my lamp beside the golden door." Now, however, when people think of immigrants, they often think first of illegal immigrants. Mostly those who cross our southern border with Mexico without proper documentation. It's hard to blame them. They're simply looking for a better life. So first, we're going to look at why immigration is such an issue. What's the big deal? Well, that better life I was just speaking about, aren't we glad that this is such a fine place to live? I'm glad to live here. It's the land of opportunity, and other people want to come here too. Even with its problems, America is a wonderful country. Opportunities abound, especially in the good times. But that makes us a magnet compared to places that are much worse off. A second reason that immigration is such an issue is that we can't take everyone. Nice as it is here, problems are cropping up, and they're cropping up faster and faster. Our population is growing more rapidly. The economy isn't what it should be. There's a tremendous strain on our welfare system. More and more people are expecting more and more of a system that is already overburdened. We especially don't need more people who are going to put additional strain on that system. A third reason is that immigrants sometimes, I'm being careful here, sometimes take jobs from those who are already here. But not always. The truth is, we need immigrants who are willing to do jobs that Americans can't do or won't do, sometimes unwilling to do. And the number of illegal immigrants is significant. The number's somewhere around 11 to 14 million. They don't usually pay income taxes or Social Security, yet they use welfare, emergency rooms, schools, and other resources. Now let's talk for just a minute about the really sticky issues. At the risk of oversimplifying, I think there are two main issues. Everything else really arises out of these two issues. And number one, I think, is border security. You see, we've had discussions about immigration policy before. Big discussions. Fiery discussions. Just like this one that's starting now. We've solved the issue of immigration problems before, but as you notice, we didn't really solve them. More illegal immigrants have come. And so here we go again. We're starting over, trying to solve this perennial issue. Most conservatives say we should start first with border security. Otherwise, the same problem just keeps coming. Our border with Mexico is pretty porous. They come in, they sneak in, and we send many of them back home, but then they come back again. It's pretty nice to live here. And then, besides border security, the other sticky issue is, what about the ones who are already here? That 11 to 14 million number of immigrants who are already living here. They've built lives. They have families. They have extended families. They have employment. And so the issue of amnesty is a really hot topic. Most people don't have a problem with legal immigrants. They've gone through the system. They're welcome. We've given them documentation. It's the illegal immigrants that we have to build all the policies around. That's the problem we have to solve. Now, how do we get unstuck? Well, I have these suggestions for border security. Number one, plug the holes. Bring in additional personnel. Build a better fence. Add additional surveillance. Perhaps landmines would help. I'm just kidding. Not landmines. Scratch that. But there are things we can do in this country that will help plug the holes. And besides that, they won't come in if they can't get jobs. And so don't let employers hire illegal immigrants without significant penalties. The suggestion has been made already to develop some kind of an e-verify system to solve the fraudulent documentation problem. At the same time, it's very obvious in this country that we have a whole sectors of our economy that wouldn't make it without these immigrants, even the illegal immigrants. And so we need to allow for some visa solution that allows for jobs and visas to rise and fall with the need. In other words, let supply and demand dictate the temporary visas. Now, what about the solution for amnesty? I say we need to balance justice and mercy. So, don't make it a blanket, easy amnesty. Don't just say, okay, you're all right, you're here, we're just going to forget all about it. That's really not fair to the people who are following the rules. Yet there are lives and families at stake. Though they've done wrong, this country's not guiltless. We let them in, sometimes turning a blind eye. We let them have jobs and build families. I like what I hear coming from this bipartisan group of senators. Ask them to confess. Ask them to make some restitution into our social system, paying taxes, Social Security, and then have them go to the back of the line. Mercy says, let them stay. But justice says, don't give them any preferential treatment. These are contentious issues, fraught with high emotion. But we need to do something. The problem isn't going away. In fact, it's probably going to get worse. It requires compromise for those on both ends of the spectrum, especially the hardliners. This is a big stakes issue. Our country's future hinges partly on this. And so I want to encourage you to stay informed and be engaged, especially if you agree with me, Mr. Toastmaster.